But then again, usually programmers are arrogant creatures. They say, okay, I have to do this, nobody else has. No, I'm sure that somebody in the world had to do the same thing at some point of his life. I mean, we're not much smarter than the other guys. And if we want to be honest with ourselves, the Greek market is not that demanding. So if we are asked to do something, probably someone in China has already done it, or in India. And it's not offensive at all. These people really work. And they work for nothing. And that's, from a research aspect, means lots of lines of code created in a daily basis, might I say. So we're all having the same thinking here, and now my diagram starts to have some importance. And probably that was what my professor saw and I couldn't see back then, that we are all facing the same issue. How far should we decompose our requirements in order to find the most possible code? Okay, and I think that the worst thing that has ever happened in my life was when I implemented a big requirement, some hundreds of lines of code, and then I found that it was already implemented some years after, and I could use it as was. This is killing you. If you ever sense it, this is killing you. Okay, last question. Who thinks I should talk more about this? Good point. Okay, so we are meeting an end here. I don't know how am I doing with time. It's 1:35. Have 5 more minutes, and then questions? Okay. So, software reuse is a research field, and my personal opinion is that it is also an attitude for a programmer. I personally know someone that, or some people that are preferring to implement things from scratch even when they see that they already exist. And it's not my job to judge them or say if they are right or wrong. And that's why I say that software reuse is an attitude. It's an attitude. Because if you are trained as a developer to create things from scratch, it's usually because you are afraid that using something that was pre-existing and pre-designed by someone else might has defects or bugs, let's say, that the other guy was not able to identify or to come across with. And I personally agree with this statement, but knowing me, I'm doing the same mistakes, the same errors. I mean, having bugs in a software that a single guy made is inevitable. That's why in software engineering process there is the testing phase. But when I'm reusing software from the Apache Software Foundation, let's say, which is the guys that created the Apache web server, I'm pretty sure that I'm reusing quality stuff. And this is, in the end, this is the goal. If I find a bug and fix it, Apache will also be happy about it and will give me even more code to work with. Software, open source is a community thing, actually, and that was what made it such a blaster when it first came out. I'm not really sure how far one can go using open source to develop stuff, and of course there are some domains, let me also inform you about that. There are some domains such as telecommunications or embedded systems that open source is not very famous. We do not have many open source projects for these domains of software engineering, but there are others such as the web. I mean, which of you knows the WordPress platform. Let me see some hands. WordPress platforms. Joomla. Okay. Drupal. Okay. We have some web developers here. There is also a platform that Microsoft created, but I cannot remember the name, and it's not a joke. I really cannot remember the name. Once, a friend of mine mentioned it, but I cannot remember the name because I had to pay for a license. You usually remember stuff that you can find easily and free. Let me state here that I'm not against the Microsoft Corporation at all. I think that the guys have done a great job creating a very serious company, but as far as the software reviews and the field of rapid development is concerned, I think that open source is taking over the world, because it is supported by most of the freelancers and individual developers, and therefore corporations like Microsoft have a very strict line of production. I mean, each person working there has a single and strictly defined work to do, and so it requires specific time. In the open source, right now there is a set of methodologies that are called agile methodologies in software development. And I know one professor here that is dealing with Professor Svetsos. He's a personal friend of mine, and he's very, I think he's one of the top researchers on the field, if I search in Thessaloniki. He was also supervising partly my thesis in my postgraduate studies. And I learned a lot from this guy, because the agile methodologies was something I wasn't aware of back then. But now they are gaining. If you work for some companies in Thessaloniki when you graduate here, web-based companies mostly, they are going to require that you learn Scrum. The Scrum methodology is an agile methodology. So this is not a joke, and this is not something unreal, it's reality. It came also in Greece, therefore it is all over the world. Okay. So why did I give this talk today? Of course it was because I was invited, and thank you again for having me here. But the truth is, I like speaking about software reviews because when I was a student, okay, this is an interesting story, give me a couple of minutes to say it. When I was in high school, my mother thought that I would become something like a lawyer or a writer or a journalist, something like that, because I was keen on the theoretical subjects rather than the technical, the applied ones. And this is true because my grades are better in history and literature than mathematics and physics. If you see my final results, this is apparent. But then she said, okay, we are blessed from above, because he entered the informatics, so he's safe for life.